Hi everyone, and welcome this morning to HOA Fight Club. I am actually mobile today, trying to do some things at the same time, two things at once. So today I'd like to talk about PTSD and HOA syndrome. A lot of people don't really realize that those are actual diagnoses for us that have been in the HOA battle. So I always try to take a step back when I talk about this because it's kind of emotional for me. I have been through a few lawsuits before. I've had to fight for a few things, and I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is the mental abuse and harassment and intimidation that happens not just with the board of directors of an HOA, but also with the property managers and attorneys. You got to remember that these property managers and attorneys are held harmless, so they can do whatever they want to you with no repercussions, no lawsuits. You can never sue the property manager or the attorneys of the association. The association is the only one that has that right. So us as homeowners who are abused by these corporations don't have any rights to fight them with. Even our insurance companies, you don't have the right to sue the insurance company. Only the HOA has the right to sue the insurance company. So as a homeowner that was being bullied and harassed and intimidated, I felt like I was alone, that there was nobody there for me. I would go to my friends and family, and of course they want to be supportive, but they didn't understand at all what I was going through. It gets to the point where you stop doing everything because everybody gets tired of hearing about your HOA horror story. And the horror stories that we talk about are so unreal that people don't believe that it's possible for a board of 5 people to be able to control you. They don't understand proxies and how proxies work, that the board of directors doesn't have to show you which proxies they have. So when you take a vote, that vote doesn't really matter what you vote because that board knows how to control those proxies. We never get to see our proxies. They get destroyed before the homeowners can ever see them. So all of this makes you feel like you're crazy, like you are a troublemaker. The attorneys want you to feel like you're a troublemaker. The property managers will treat you like you are the stupidest person in the whole world. When I was dealing with the property managers, they would try to interpret the laws. Well, the laws are up for interpretation until you get to civil court. Then they're not so interpreted. So you need to remember that in HOA syndrome is real. So I had to go to counseling. I went to counseling for many months for HOA syndrome and the PTSD, and I have been diagnosed many times. I have been on medications, trying to get over this. My husband, who is a very, very strong person, has no desire to take any medications whatsoever. The most he takes is his heart meds. But he was even forced into being on an antidepressant because the board had made him so crazy by their decisions of not fixing our home that alls we talked about as a couple, think about this, you're married to your spouse. We've been married for almost 28 years, and alls we talked about for the last 4 years was HOA. So our lives have not been the same since we joined this association. We've had no conversations that talk about our future or fun, or even when we go on vacations, it wasn't a vacation, it was just kind of like a relief that I didn't have to be at home. So you have to take these things very seriously and make sure that you are taking care of yourself, because you will go crazy. So what I did to help battle this was to start getting the homeowners' email addresses, and anytime I talk to the property management company or the board, I would do it in writing and do it with all of the homeowners' emails attached. I had probably about 40 homeowners at one time out of the 130 were ready to recall the board. We did have a special meeting, and all of that abuse after, they cheated, of course, but the abuse that you go through, because now I'm an outcast, and they will try to make sure the neighbors hate you and everybody hates you, and it's your fault that the HOA is spending money. It's your fault that the HOA is spending money on attorneys. No, it's their fault that they're spending money on attorneys. The first year I moved in, the attorney fees were $38,000. Now that's before I became the troublemaker. So let's think about that. $38,000 in attorney's fees. Well, that's because they were doing this more than just to me. They were fining people into foreclosure. People had no rights and they had no salvation. So these people lost their homes and were put out homeless. So I think that before you think that you're alone, you're not alone. Ever, never, never alone. We have a huge community out there that is an HOA warrior community that will give you advice, that will help you, that will read your CC&Rs. CC&Rs are not easy to read. I am willing to read anybody's CC&Rs and give them my interpretation to help them understand what they can do to address the board or address the property managers and attorneys. So there are many, many options in your CC&Rs that can help handle these things. Most of the time, a property management company is not ready for a person that is knowledgeable. So when you do start to fight, have your knowledge, make sure that you're knowledgeable. Do your research. Make sure you know the laws. Make sure you know your CC&Rs like the back of your hand. My CC&Rs were my Bible for the last 4 to 5 years. I kept every email. I kept every text message from every different property manager because I had gone through quite a few property management companies. I think there was 4 or 5 before, and the same amount of attorneys that we had dealt with after I found out that they were doing what they were doing. So I had to make sure that I included the neighbors in everything to make myself feel a little bit more not so crazy. And the one thing I found in the process of doing this was that the neighbors were really truly neighbors. They were kind and looking for somebody to help them. So I became everybody's salvation. I stopped a lot of different fines, people getting fined. People were giving me flowers left at my door. They were so happy that I was coming in and stopping this board from being so crazy and fining them and harassing them and bullying them. So when I finally started reaching out, I found out I wasn't alone. I found Ward Lucas from Nevada. I found George Starpoli from Arizona. I found Deborah Goonan. I found many, many other homeowners that are fighting for the same rights that you're fighting for. And you're not alone. These HOA syndromes is not an easy thing to deal with because it is a lot of stress and anxiety that goes through you, and the fact that it never seems like it'll ever be over. I'm down to my last 10 days in my home. It still doesn't quite seem that it's going to be over, even though all of our furniture has been removed, all of our belongings are almost in storage. We've given away everything. We've just given it all away because we don't have a home anymore. They took my home. The HOA took my home. Not just by taking it personally, they didn't take it, but they took my home away from me a long time ago. I couldn't use my backyard. I couldn't use my amenities. I couldn't do anything without being harassed by this board. And the thought of 10 days and this could be over, should be over, it's amazing. And for my husband and I to finally have a conversation that does not include HOA is really, really exciting for us to be able to think of the future for once. Yes, we'll be homeless, but at least we will have a future that we can decide. Not the HOA, not the board, not an attorney, nobody else but us. I will never, ever, ever relinquish my control of my life to another association or corporation again. I hope you guys are learning from this and that we can all use our stories to help others in the future. Stay with me, HOA Fight Club, and please like and subscribe. I really need the subscribers so I can keep this channel going, and I appreciate all of you that are supporting me. Thanks. See you on the next one.